When the female CEO brought her white moonlight home, holding the pan, I was just about to ask if I should add a few dishes. When I saw the white moonlight point at me and say, I knew everything written in novels was true. As soon as I went abroad, you found a substitute and kept him at home. I looked down at the chef's uniform on my body and the spatula in my hand. No one notified me about this substitute thing either. Before I could even react, I heard the white moonlight. Joe Ran, continue saying, no wonder you've been indifferent to me these years I was abroad. So it's because you already had a new love by your side and completely threw me, your old love, to the back of your mind. Even though I am back now, you actually can't bear to send this substitute away. In that case, I will just withdraw and grant you to your wish. Looking at Joe Rand's angry appearance, I was completely dumbfounded. Wait, what kind of script is this? Wasn't I, because of my superb culinary skills, hired by the female CEO Jiang Qi with an annual salary of $8 million to the villa to be a chef, just to help cure her stomach problem? How did it become a new love and a substitute? Jiang Qi couldn't help but frown. Anne Ran, what nonsense are you talking about? These 3 months you've been abroad, haven't I flown to see you every week? How have I been indifferent to you? And this is the family chef, Shen Luo, not that messy thing you're talking about. A tear slipped down Joe Rand's cheek. Where is there such a young chef? I like wearing white clothes. He is also wearing white clothes. If not a substitute, what is he? A Qi, why must you lie to me? I looked down at the white chef's uniform on my body and looked at Joe Rand's white silk shirt. The corners of my eyes couldn't help but twitch. The only commonality between the two is that they are both made of white fabric. I sighed and spoke up. Mr. Joe, I really am a chef. If you don't believe me, you can go check the kitchen. The chicken soup I made is still simmering on the stove. Joe Ran, however, covered his ears. I won't listen, even if there is. It must be you guys, deliberately faking it to deceive me, Jiang Qi said helplessly. Then you tell me, what will it take for you to believe that Shen Luo is a chef? You drive him away, then I will believe it. Joe Ran had an expression of, nothing can be hidden from me. The novels have all written it. The white moonlight and the substitute can never coexist. Otherwise, sooner or later, one day, he, this substitute, will replace my position as the white moonlight. A Qi, I don't want to lose you. So he must leave. Hearing him say this, Zhang Kai's frown tightened. She hesitantly looked at me. Her stomach disease had just been mostly cured by me. Now she simply cannot leave my cooking. But if she doesn't send me away, Joe Ran obviously won't let it go. A moment later, Jiang Qi finally made a decision. She walked towards me and whispered, I know. We signed a Livine agreement. In this current situation, I can only trouble you to move to the nearby luxury apartment. I will reimburse double the commuting expenses, plus add 3 months' salary as compensation for you. How about it? My eyes instantly lit up. Jiang Qi's apartment is only a 5-minute walk from the villa. Now I can not only get double commuting fees, but also earn 3 months' salary for nothing. This is a huge profit. I nodded without hesitation. No problem, CEO G. Do you need me to move right now? Saying that, I took out my phone. Ready to contact a moving company? Jiang Qi was obviously stunned for a moment. Probably didn't expect me to be so straightforward. A trace of strangeness crossed her mind. She opened her mouth, but ultimately just nodded and said, move then. The moving company's truck arrived very quickly. When I was directing the workers to move the luggage, Joe Ran looked down at me condescendingly. Shen Luo, even if you took advantage of my absence while I was abroad, so what? Aren't you still leaving dejectedly now? In a Kai's heart, only I am the most important. No matter how much you jump around, a substitute will forever only be a substitute. I had just received a bank notification. The 7-digit compensation was shining brightly, causing the one who helped me get this compensation. Fund, Joe Ran. 2 also looked much friendlier in my eyes. I smiled and echoed, yes, yes, yes. In CEO Zhang's heart, you are the most important. How could I compare to you? Joe Ran snorted coldly. Glad you know your place. He left with his head held high again. Not far away, I heard the butler ask him which room he wanted to stay in. He didn't even think. I'll just stay in the room where a Qi hung all my photos. The one she uses to miss me? The butler was puzzled. There isn't such a room, right? He immediately raised his voice. How is it possible there isn't? In the novels, after the white moonlight goes abroad, the CEO always has a specially locked room that no one is allowed to enter, just used to keep the white moonlight's photos. If you don't know, just say you don't know. How can you say it doesn't exist? I didn't hear the rest clearly, only shook my head, and mourned for the butler for 2 seconds. After moving into the luxury apartment, my days briefly became very leisurely, except needing to under Uncle Lou's coordination every day, bypass Joe Ran's line of sight, and sneakily return to the villa to cook 3 meals a day for Jiang Qi. The rest of the time I was relaxed and carefree. My complexion was getting rosier, while butler Uncle Liu was visibly withering away during yet another coordination. I finally couldn't help but ask him, Uncle Liu, is the work at the villa so busy lately? Why do I feel like you haven't slept well in a long time? Uncle Liu sighed and said, don't mention it. Mr. Zhou has practically been torturing me to death lately. The first day he moved into the villa, he wanted the CEO to fire me. The reason was actually because I didn't say to him that he was the first man the CEO brought home. The next day he asked me again. After he left, hasn't the CEO smiled in 10 years? I merely showed him a photo from CEO Zhang's interview 2 days ago, where she was smiling. And he angrily smashed my phone directly. Uncle Liu looked like he finally found someone to confide in, and spilled all of Zhou Ran's actions over the past week, complaining about everything. Looking at Uncle Liu's eloquent appearance, a wave of relief surged in my heart. Good thing I moved to the luxury apartment on the first day. Otherwise, being tormented by Zhou Ran every day acting out a melodramatic soap opera would probably shorten my lifespan. But obviously, I rejoiced a bit too early. The peaceful days had barely passed for 2 days. When the apartment's doorbell was rung like a death warrant, I just opened the door, and Zhou Ran pushed me aside and rushed in. He was like a peacock patrolling his territory, pacing around the room. No wonder you left so freely back then. It turns out Jiangqi has another house to hide you in. My eyebrows twitched, wanting to quickly send him away. Mr. Zhou, I really am just a chef. If you don't believe me, I can show you my employment contract. I took out the contract to show Zhou Ran. When his gaze swept over the annual salary figure, his pupils suddenly shrank. 8 million. He sneered and snatched the contract, slapping it on the coffee table. Whose chef would have such a high annual salary? This must be your sugar baby fee. I make money with my own 2 hands. The way he spoke was simply insulting me. I couldn't bear it anymore. I directly took out my phone and dialed Jiangqi. CEO Jiang, can you please control your white moonlight? A heavy sigh came from the other end of the phone. Let him answer the phone. Zhou Ran was full of disdain when he answered the phone, but his face changed as he listened. Finally, he glared at me fiercely, said got it to the phone, and hung up. He raised his chin, resuming his arrogant posture. Consider yourself lucky today, but don't think it'll let you off so easily. Chi is just blinded by you right now. Soon he will know. This fake can never compare to me. He left after putting down the harsh words. Listening to the door slamming loudly, I wondered if I should ask Jiangqi for some mental compensation fees to avoid Zhou Ran causing more trouble. For the next few days, I didn't even go to the villa. Every day after cooking, I just let butler Uncle Liu use a bento box to take it to Jiangqi to eat. When Uncle Liu came again this day, besides the bento, he also brought along an invitation to Zhou Ran's welcome banquet. Looking at that gold-stamped invitation, I only felt my temples throbbing. Just as I wanted to refuse, I heard Uncle Liu continue. CEO Jiang was so troubled by Mr. Zhou that there was no way out, saying that as long as you attend, there will be 10 times overtime pay. He looked at me with a, damn kid, you're so lucky expression. I also immediately changed my attitude. What are you talking about, overtime pay or not? As long as CEO Jiang needs it, I will definitely risk my life and not decline. The welcome banquet was held at CEO Zhang's villa. When I arrived, Zhou Ran was playing the piano. The soft spotlight hit him, making him finally look a bit like a white moonlight. The elite princes and wealthy tycoons attending the banquet saw me and gathered around to exchange pleasantries. Is Mr. Shen the head chef for tonight's welcome banquet? Then am really in for a treat. Is Mr. Shen considering changing jobs lately? My mother is really craving your cooking recently. The piano sound abruptly stopped. Everyone's eyes subconsciously turned to Zhou Ran. He picked up the microphone, looking angrily at the people gathered around me. Let me introduce myself. I am Jiang Kai's real white moonlight. The one you're surrounding is just an unpresentable substitute. It's fine if you want to flatter someone, but don't flatter the wrong person and suffer a loss. Everyone looked at each other in dismay, all showing a baffled expression, and continued exchanging pleasantries with me. Zhou Ran concluded that it was during his absence that I had bought people's hearts. He was furious, but quickly remembered something, and like a changing face, smiled at me and said, although I played pretty well just now, I heard Mr. Shen's piano skills are even more superb. Why not go play a song to add to the fun for everyone? If you don't play, you are looking down on everyone. When saying this, Zhou Ran had an expression of waiting for a good show. He had already inquired about it. Shen Luo is naturally not to mention the piano. He can't even flick a coin properly. Going up to play the piano later will inevitably make a fool of himself in front of everyone. When that time comes, Chi will know that this substitute doesn't look like him at all. Zhou Ran seemed to have foreseen my ugly state afterwards, his face very smug. But without even thinking, I said, You heard wrong. I don't know how to play the piano at all. Zhou Ran's smugness froze, looking at me in disbelief. You just said it out loud so directly. In novels, even if the substitute knows nothing, don't they bite the bullet and imitate the white moonlight? Why aren't you doing that? Saying to the end. He was already a bit broken. This was his carefully prepared welcome banquet, just so Shen Luo could make a fool of himself in public. Zhang Qi just finished work and came over. Seeing his cheeks flushed red, hurriedly asked with concern, "What's wrong?" He immediately grabbed Jiang Kai's hand. "A Qi Shen Luo is bullying me." Zhang Qi frowned and looked at me. I immediately raised my hands. I did not. People around spoke all at once. Explaining to Zhang Qi what had happened, she rubbed her temples, visibly much more exhausted. "Just go and play a little. It'll increase your overtime pay to 20 times. I instantly smiled brightly. CEO Zhang is so generous. I walked to the piano and randomly banged my fingers on the keys. The sound produced compared to Zhou Ran's piano sound just now was simply as different as clouds and mud. Zhou Ran laughed smugly and looked around expectantly, ready to enjoy the scene of everyone mocking me. However, the guests just clinked their glasses with each other, as if they didn't hear it at all. He suddenly stood up, finding it hard to believe. "Why aren't you laughing at Shen Luo? Saying he comes from a lowly background and is unpresentable in public and the like?" Someone was puzzled. "He just doesn't know how to play the piano. What is there to be mocked about? And playing the piano isn't the standard for judging a person. Although Mr. Shen can't play the piano, the food he cooks is comparable to a state banquet. People always have things they are not good at. You have to allow others to have flaws. The role of this group of banquet background extras, isn't it to mock the disgraced substitute? On what basis are you not laughing?" The air suddenly became so quiet that you could hear the champagne bubbling. The little princess of the elite circle sneered. "It seems CEO Jiang's banquet is too precious, and we only deserve to be background boards. Since that's the case, we won't stay and be an eyesore." Most of the people present left their seats one after another and refused to stay despite how much Zhang Cheng apologized. Jiang Cheng's head throbbed, but Zhou Ran was still clamoring. "If they want to leave, let them leave. I am a Cheng's white moonlight. Offending me. Tomorrow I'll tell a Cheng to bankrupt them." As soon as these words came out, the remaining people were also unwilling to stay, looking at Zhou like a psycho, and then all left. A welcome banquet ended on such a sour note. I was also about to leave, but was grabbed by the wrist by Zhou Ran. "You cannot leave. Akai's welcome banquet turned out like this. It must be Shen Luo wanting to frame me, to watch me make a fool of myself. You must help me punish him." Jiang Kai's face darkened. The disappointment in her eyes couldn't be hidden. "Aran, can you stop causing trouble? How did you become like this now?" Zhou Ran's face instantly went pale. "You, to protect this substitute, actually treat me like this. What is Jiang Qi saying? I've changed. Obviously the one who changed is you. It seems between the two of us, you chose him. Then you better not regret it." After speaking, he grabbed his coat and rushed out of the villa. I heavily patted Zhang Kai's shoulder. "Thanks for the hard work. Besides, remember to transfer the overtime pay to my card?" I was just about to lift my foot and leave when I saw Zhang Qi looking pale, gripping her stomach tightly with one hand. One look and it was obvious her stomach disease had acted up again. Now I couldn't leave even if I wanted to. I hurriedly helped Zhang Qi to sit on the sofa and went to the kitchen to cook stomach-nourishing porridge for her. After taking care of Jiang Qi all night, her complexion finally looked much better. I stretched my back. Just as I was about to leave the villa, I saw Zhou Ran pacing outside the door, obviously because last night, Jiang Qi didn't go chase him. He couldn't save face. Walking in and seeing me, he looked full of disbelief. "I just left for one night. A Qi was so impatient to have you keep him company. Shen Luo's scheming is much deeper than I thought. But don't be too proud. I have plenty of ways to deal with you." I already didn't want to deal with Zhou Ran anymore, always feeling that conversing with him lowers my IQ. I was just preparing to leave when I saw Zhou Ran rush into the villa as if making up his mind. A Qi after reflecting all night? I know I was wrong. I also know Shen Luo is very important to you. I will never drive him away again. Will you forgive me, please? Seeing Zhou Ran giving in, Zhang Kai's face quickly softened. It's best that you could figure it out. Since that's the case, Shen Luo, you just moved back to the villa. I happen to really need you these 2 days. I knew Zhang Qi was talking about the stomach disease, but Zhou Ran obviously misunderstood again, seeing that Zhang Qi didn't retort at all, and used the excuse to take me back. His face became even paler, and the gaze he directed at me was full of resentment. However, he quickly showed a malicious smile at me again. My eyebrows jumped, always feeling that what follows won't be calm. I was on tenterhooks on my end. While butler Uncle Liu seemed to have finally found an ally, Every day he would come to the kitchen to whisper complaints about Joe Ran with me. Once, right after complaining, we heard Joe Ran's voice behind us saying, "Look, Shen Luo took so much of your money, yet he slacks off usually. The money he took is a sugar baby fee." Zhang Qi didn't grasp the implication, but instinctively frowned. "Uncle Liu, you should also pay attention to boundaries when managing household affairs." Uncle Liu awkwardly smiled and left the kitchen. Zhou Ran saw Jiang Qi only scolded Uncle Liu, but didn't scold me. His eyes became even more resentful. This day, I was preparing lunch in the kitchen. Zhou Ran suddenly rushed in and snatched my knife. "Shen Luo, don't think you can be smug anymore. Today's the day you get kicked out of the Zhang family." Saying that, he picked up the knife and pierced the blood bag on his waist, then immediately cried out, "It hurts. Shen Luo, I just wanted to help you chop vegetables. Why did you use a knife to hurt me?" Zhang Qi heard the commotion, flew downstairs and caught Zhou Ran, who was lying on the ground. Her brows knitted into a knot. "Shen Luo, I know you've been wronged recently, but you can't violently hurt people." I calmly pointed above my head. "CEO Jiang, the kitchen has cameras installed. Rather than blaming me, you'd better look at the surveillance first." Zhou Ran obviously didn't expect this. Panic flashed in his eyes. Seeing Zhang Qi was about to go check the monitor, he immediately pulled her back, crying miserably, "Qi, it hurts so much. Don't mind the monitor for now. Send me to the hospital, okay?" Hearing this, Zhang Qi quickly ordered someone to send Zhou Ran to the hospital. I thought about it, and after entrusting the surveillance matter to Uncle Liu, I also followed to the hospital. Entering the clinic room, Zhou Ran saw there was no one around, grabbed the doctor's hand and stuffed a card into it. "Later, you just say I was stabbed into kidney failure and need to harvest the kidney from the guy who came with us for me. Is that clear?" The doctor holding the card froze his hand with a complex expression, but Zhou Ran felt everything was ready and immediately directed the doctor to push him sitting in the wheelchair out of the clinic. Zhang Qi saw Zhou Ran being pushed out and immediately went up to meet him. "Dr. A. Ran, how is it? Is the situation serious? Do we need to have me contact a famous foreign doctor right now to come over and perform surgery?" The doctor opened his mouth, not knowing what to say. Seeing this, Zhou Ran glared at the doctor in exasperation and then weakly said himself, "The doctor said my kidney failed due to the stab. Now I need an immediate kidney transplant. I think Shen Luo's kidney will do. He hurt me. He must pay some price." After saying this, he looked at me triumphantly. Seemingly certain that Zhang Cheng would harvest my kidney for him, I felt a burst of speechlessness in my heart. Zhou Ran tossed around like this. "Just to come to the hospital to harvest my kidney? Does he really think this is a novel?" Zhang Cheng also frowned and looked at him. Not to mention, Shen Luo's kidney might not match. Even if it matches, without the person's consent, forcibly harvesting a kidney is illegal. "Ran, how could you have such a thought?" Zhou Ran's smugness suddenly froze. Opening his mouth, he couldn't speak for a long time, as if he didn't expect Zhang Qi to not follow the script. At this time, the doctor seemed to finally come to his senses, heaved a sigh of relief. He cleared his throat, took out the card and returned it to Jiang Qi. "Miss Jiang, the situation is like this. Mr. Zhou just stuffed a card to me, wanting to bribe me, asking me to lie that he has kidney failure, and even said he wants to harvest this Mr. Shen's kidney. If I hadn't heard your words just now, I was planning to call the police directly. Fortunately, Miss Jiang, you are someone who understands the law. Since that's the case, I am relieved. When you have time, persuade Mr. Zhou more. Don't let him have this kind of dangerous thought again, and don't treat the hospital like a child's play, smearing some fake blood on his body and coming to occupy medical resources." After speaking, the doctor returned to the clinic. Just before entering the door, I heard him mutter softly, "People nowadays have their brains ruined by reading novels. Even stuffed me a card to bribe me, without even giving the password." I really wanted to laugh out loud, but looking at Jiang Kai's darkened face, knowing the occasion was inappropriate, I had to hold back my laughter. Zhou Ran looked at Jiang Kai's disappointed eyes, panicking and arguing "Look, I bled so much. How could it be fake? Don't listen to that doctor's nonsense. He must be some relative of Shen Luo, so he is helping Shen Luo in order to prevent me from getting a kidney transplant and die of kidney failure. Do you have the heart to see me die untreated because of a misunderstanding?" Jiang Kai's temples were throbbing. Just as she was about to speak, my phone suddenly rang. It was the surveillance video sent by Uncle Liu. I clicked open the video and handed it to Zhang Qi. The screen clearly showed Zhou Ran after snatching the knife, piercing the blood bag, and the whole process of falling to the ground and faking crying. Jiang Qi handed the phone to Zhou Ran. In front of him now, "What else do you have to say?" Zhou Ran's face was pale, but quickly with red eyes said, "Qi, I know I was wrong, but I just didn't want your gaze to always stay on a substitute. I am your real white moonlight. I've said it many times. Jiang Qi looked at him with sharp eyes. Shen Luo is the chef I hired, not your substitute. It was the first time Zhou Ran was treated like this by her. He even stopped pretending to be wronged. His whole body froze in place, his face full of disbelief. Jiang Qi turned to me. With a heavy tone, Shen Luo, I'm sorry. For today's matter, it was me who didn't clarify the situation and misunderstood you. I sighed. This is not the first time I've been tormented by Zhou Ran. From the substitute misunderstanding to the welcome banquet farce, to the current framing, I came here to earn an 8 million annual salary cooking, not to act in a melodramatic soap opera. CEO Zhang, I accept your apology, but I decided to resign. Jiang Qi was stunned for a moment and hurriedly urged me to stay. I can increase your salary again. I will definitely handle Zhou Ran's side properly. I won't let him harass you anymore. It's not a matter of money. I shook my head. I'm just a chef? I just want to cook peacefully. I don't want to be tormented as a substitute every day. No matter how Jiang Qi persuaded, my attitude was very firm. She finally sighed and helplessly said, all right, I respect your decision. Your salary and compensation will be transferred to you as soon as possible. After returning to the Zhang family from the hospital, I quickly packed my luggage and prepared to leave. Uncle Liu sighed while helping. What should I do if you leave and I'm left behind? He has been working since the Jiang parents' generation as a butler in the Jiang family. Over these years, he has already treated the Zhang family as his own home and was totally reluctant to leave. I patted his shoulder. Uncle Leo, it's still too early for you to sigh now. Think about when CEO Jiang and Zhou Ran get married in the future. That's when your hard days will truly come. Hearing this, Uncle Liu only felt his eyes go dark. Taking my luggage out of the Jiang family, I turned back to take a look. She was standing on the 2nd floor balcony at the time, looking at me with a complex expression. Not knowing what she was thinking, I waved my hand, turned around and got into a taxi, finally able to get rid of Zhou Ran's farce. No longer having to sneak around him to cook, it couldn't be more relaxing. After moving back to the apartment I rented before, I gave myself a vacation, sleeping until I woke up naturally every day. After waking up, I researched new recipes. My days were incredibly cozy. I originally thought the grievances with the Zhang family were turned over just like that. I didn't expect that 3 days later. My phone suddenly blew up. A friend sent a trending search link. The title blatantly read, "Scheming substitute kicked out of the wealthy family. Ran away with valuable items." Clicking in to take a look. The video was exactly the scene of me packing my luggage 2 days ago. Zhou Ran had secretly filmed the video at some unknown time, deliberately aiming the luxury goods and watches in my suitcase, all in front of the camera lens, and accompanied it with text saying, "I just went abroad for a few months." And there is a shameless man, dressing up as me to seduce and even using a Kai's money to buy luxury goods. Now exposed by me, he ran away dejectedly. Tell me, everyone, should I, the legitimate partner, get these things back? The comment section exploded like a pot. Oh my god, is this the substitute from novels? Literature shining into reality. Taking someone else's money to buy luxury goods? Truly shameless. Heartache for the little brother, white moonlight. Being usurped by a substitute for so long? Hurry up and return the things. People who reap without sowing are really shameful. Just as I was reading the comments, my phone suddenly received a message from an unknown number. Sent message. Shen Luo, you saw the trending search, right? Be sensible and hurry up to return the luxury goods Ichi bought. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind making you more famous. I looked at the message Zhou Ran sent. I was so angry I was about to laugh. Those luxury goods were clearly bought by me using my own salary. With my 8 million annual salary, can I not even afford a few luxury goods? Just as I wanted to reply, the phone rang again. This time it wasn't Zhou Ran, but Jiang Qi calling. Shen Luo, I saw the things on the internet. Sorry. It's because of Zhou Ran again. Her tone carried an apology. I will have the PR team help you clarify and sue those rumor mongers. This time I directly refused. No need. The moment you appear, wouldn't it confirm that I am the substitute you found? Then it will be even harder to explain clearly. I have my own way to clarify, so I won't bother CEO G. I hung up the phone. I opened my computer, took the employment contract signed with Jiang Qi, took a screenshot and posted it. The contract clearly stated an annual salary of 8 million for a private chef. Then, I also posted the purchase receipts for those luxury goods one by one. Each one had the purchase time and amount marked. All were bought with my own bank card after I was employed. I, Shen Luo, am the private chef hired by CEO Jiang Qi, with an annual salary of 8 million, and not a so-called substitute. The luxury goods in the video were all purchased with my own legal income. There's no such thing as running away with valuable items. The clear will clear themselves. Rumor mongers, please have some Once the clarification was posted, the comments section was instantly quiet for a few seconds. And then it turned upside down. Holy shit. A chef with an $8 million annual salary? What kind of god-level culinary skills must this be? I was wrong, brother. Sorry. Isn't buying these luxury goods with $8 million just a piece of cake? So it isn't substitute literature. My vision was too narrow. So that Joe Ran was spreading rumors. This move is a bit confusing. What I didn't expect was that an elite circle prince who previously attended the welcome banquet and wealthy tycoons actually also forwarded my clarification. The elite circle little princess, Mr. Shen's culinary skills, can be called state banquet level. My mom urges me every day to poach him to cook at home. An $8 million annual salary is not high at all. CEO Zhang of Hengyu Group. Last time I tasted Mr. Shen's Buddha jumps over the wall, and I still can't forget it until now. Is Mr. Shen considering opening a private home-style restaurant? I will be the first to top up. CEO Li of Shenxi Group, who is spreading rumors about Mr. Shen. I will fight whoever it is. If he is a substitute, then what are we, who are scrambling to hire him? As soon as these big shots spoke up, the comment section completely reversed. Everyone went from eating melons at the beginning to now becoming hungry foodies waiting to be fed. The big shots have all spoken up. How delicious must this Mr. Shen's cooking be? Begging Shen Luo to open a restaurant, I am willing to queue for 3 days and 3 nights. Heartache for Shen Luo. Being tormented as a substitute for so long, and still being slandered. I looked at the comment section and couldn't help but smile. Not only did I not suffer a loss this wave, but I also gave myself a wave of free advertising. Just as I was planning to reply to netizens saying, ID, consider opening a private restaurant, my phone received another anonymous message. Attached with a few photos and a voice recording, the photos were of Joe Ran accompanying someone at a foreign hospital for prenatal checkup scenes and a signed surgery consent form. In the recording was a conversation between him and his friend. Since when was I going abroad to relax? Wasn't it just because I drank too much and got someone pregnant with my child? I could only secretly take her abroad. That idiot Zhang Qi actually thought I wanted to live abroad for a while. Coming to see me every week? There's no way this is the charm of me as the white moonlight. I raised an eyebrow. This really is counterattack material delivered to my door. Since Joe Ran always refuses to let me go, then I have no need to be polite either. After censoring these pieces of evidence, I posted them anonymously on the internet, accompanying it with a question. Some people claim to be the white moonlight. What exactly did they do abroad for 3 months? Once the evidence was exposed, the internet completely exploded. Joe Ran's lies were punctured. The netizens who previously sympathized with him defected one after another, scolding him for being deeply scheming and a habitual liar. Zhang Qi was working abroad. After finally having some free time, how is Shen Luo's public reputation on the internet right now? Is there anyone still scolding him? If there still is, just let the PR and legal departments handle it directly. The assistant shook his head. Mr. Shen has no one scolding him anymore. However, he hesitated for a moment and showed the messages on the phone to Zhang Qi. As Zhang Qi looked, her brows knitted tighter and tighter. After she finished discussing work, she rushed back home overnight, threw the phone in front of Joe Ran, and questioned Joe Ran with an icy face. What exactly is going on with all this? Joe Ran looked at the photos and recordings, his face deadly pale, but he was still arguing. It's Shen Luo. He framed me. These are all fake. Your signature is on the examination forms. Your voice is in the recording. You still want to argue. Zhang Cheng's voice was full of disappointment. All these years, I was really wrong about you. Uncle Liu, pack up his things. After sending him away from the Zhang family, do not allow him to step inside ever again. Joe Ran was stunned for a moment, but suddenly began to laugh. I get it. Now the plot must have reached the part where the male and female leads are provoked by the substitute, and the misunderstanding deepens. Zhang Cheng, you are kicking me out now. Sooner or later, you will regret it. Wait until you realize that the one you love is me. When you come back to beg me, I won't forgive you easily. He was certain that Zhang sooner or later would stage a chasing the husband's crematorium plot. When packing his things, he even deliberately put on a posture of waiting for you to beg me to come back, and left the Zhang family without looking back. Zhang Qi looked at his back and sighed helplessly. She looked at the empty room and suddenly somewhat missed the warmth of the home-cooked meals from before. After hesitating for a long time, she took out her phone and still dialed my number. Shen Luo. About the Joe Ran matter, I still have to say sorry to you. CEO Zhang, you've already said the apology once. You shouldn't be calling today just for this, right? I can't hide anything from you. She hesitated for a while. Before continuing, I read the recent comments on the internet and wanted to ask you, are you considering opening a private restaurant? I can invest. You don't need to spend a single cent, and all the profits belong to you. I was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but smile. CEO Jiang, are you trying to invite me back to cook in disguise? No, I just feel that your culinary skills should be known by more people. Her voice was a bit unnatural. Moreover, my stomach really isn't used to food cooked by others. I thought about it. Opening a private restaurant was my plan to begin with. Someone is willing to invest without interfering. Why not go for it? Fine, but I have a condition. You cannot interfere with my management as an investor, and you also have to queue up and make reservations to eat. No special privileges. No problem. Zhang Qi agreed readily. Later, with Zhang Kai's help, my private restaurant was doing a roaring trade. Zhang Qi indeed kept the promise very well, never interfering with my management and always obediently queuing up to eat. She would come to my private restaurant for her 3 meals a day. The days seemed to have returned to before, when I was cooking for her at the Jiang family to nourish her stomach. Only this time, there was no more disturbance from Zhou Ran. I had also curiously asked Jiang Qi why Zhou Ran never came looking for her again. Her expression at that time was like she had swallowed a fly. It took a long time before she told me. Before making him leave the Zhang family, he said the plot had progressed to the male and female leads being provoked by the substitute and the misunderstanding deepening, seemingly certain that next I would suddenly realize my mistake and go chase him back. I couldn't help but sigh. Zhou Ran truly is melodramatic. His white moonlight persona never falls. After this, Zhang Qi and I both tacitly never mentioned Zhou Ran again. When Zhang Qi came to eat every day, she would always bring me a small gift, sometimes just wildflowers by the roadside. Sometimes it was newly released jewelry from some brand recently. When receiving the gifts, I playfully joked, Zhang Qi, before, you hired me to cook? It only cost $8 million a year. Now coming to my place to eat, not only do you have to pay, you also give me gifts. I'm afraid it costs more than $8 million now, right? She smiled gently. As long as you like it. Meeting her tender gaze, my heart suddenly started pounding. After spending day and night with Zhang Qi for half a year, one day when she came to eat, she brought a large bouquet of roses as a gift. I didn't dare to accept it, but asked Zhang Qi instead, do you know what giving roses represents? Zhang Qi nodded. It represents that from now on, all my money will be managed by you. Are you willing? Managing money? Who would be unwilling? I smiled and nodded. Zhang Qi's and my relationship rapidly heated up, and we quickly decided to get married. The wedding was set on a sunny weekend. Those who came were all our relatives and friends, and regular customers of the private restaurant. I was wearing a suit. While preparing the wedding vows in the lounge, butler Uncle Liu was wiping his tears at the side. You don't even know. When I heard that CEO Jiang was going to marry you, how excited I was. It's so good. Fortunately, CEO Jiang isn't marrying Zhou Ran. My future is no longer a pitch-black darkness. He obviously still remembered the words I said the day I resigned. Now his face was full of relief, but I froze for a moment, realizing that I hadn't paid attention to news about Zhou Ran for a long time. Talk of the devil, and he shall appear. Just as I was holding Zhang Chai's arm and about to exchange rings, the doors to the hall were suddenly pushed open. Zhou Ran rushed in, with messy hair and crazy eyes, still holding a glass bottle in his hand. Shen Luo, you shameless substitute. Not only provoking the relationship between a Qi and me, now, you even interrupt the plot of a Qi pursuing me in a crematorium, and snatched a Qi to get married. Go to hell. He roared and lunged towards me, raising the bottle and about to splash it at me. Inside was horrifyingly sulfuric acid. Fortunately, Zhang Qi was prepared early on and had arranged bodyguards in advance, who immediately rushed up and stopped him. Zhou Ran was pinned to the ground, still screaming crazily. Why? Obviously, I am the white moonlight male lead, and the plot obviously should be a Qi in me, experiencing all sorts of misunderstandings, and ultimately living happily ever after. Why did it turn out like this now? The police quickly arrived and took Zhou Ran away. Looking at his hysterical appearance as he was dragged away, I couldn't help but sigh. Up until now, he is still living in a melodramatic novel and has never clearly recognized reality. Looking at the bottle of sulfuric acid on the ground, Zhang Qi gripped my hand with lingering fear. How are you? Are you okay? I'm fine. I smiled and comforted her, and even had the mood to joke. Zhou Ran always felt that he is the white moonlight male lead in a novel, and you are the female lead. You aren't really, are you? Zhang Qi helplessly kissed my chin. Even if I am the female lead, my male lead will only be you alone. We looked at each other and smiled. The moment we exchanged rings, applause resounded in the banquet hall. The days after marriage remained simple and cozy. Zhang Qi's stomach disease was completely cured. Her greatest joy every day is following me around the kitchen, occasionally helping me taste dishes. My chain of private restaurants is getting more and more popular, yet I still insist on personally developing new recipes. Once during an interview, a reporter asked me, CEO Shen is your current success, because after rising to power as a substitute, you had CEO Jiang's support. He was obviously trying to stir up trouble. Jiang Qi was beside me. Her face instantly darkened, wanting to step in front of me to answer for me, but I pulled her back, smiled and looked at the reporter. Everyone has never been someone else's substitute. My success today is simply because I am a chef who loves to cook.